Well, we're in the blue Mustang.
We are.
We are. And we're heading down to the GSL Model Car Championship.
Wow.
The probably the most robust, intense, crazy model car championship in the world.
Yes.
I forget how many there have been, 17 of them or something.
Oh my.
They're kind of hit and miss now. Right now they're every other year, and Mark Gustavson, the founder of the whole thing, has said from this point on there'll be maybe one more 3 years from now.
3 years from now?
3 years from now,
Oh
but he's kind of winding the whole thing down, and he's going to stop doing it. But the bottom line is it's the best model car championship I think on the planet.
I think so too.
It's just absolutely amazing, the different cars that show up and just how
You can't believe they're models.
No, I mean
They
they're
look
just,
like shrink juices put on a real life size whatever motorcycle car.
and some of them are just built kits, but they're just perfectly built kits.
I'll say.
And then some of them are scratch built.
And that's the ones that amaze me.
Oh,
What?
unreal. Yeah, how do you scratch build a miniature car?
Yeah.
And then everything in between.
Right.
So check this out, the GSL Model Car Championship for 2019.
Wow.
Wow. Well, this year's GSL did not disappoint.
It sure did not.
It did not.
The only disappointing part was I didn't have my Impala done.
No, and I didn't have anything either. I always want to get that Lotus finished, and it just sits there in its little project box somewhere near the workbench. There were so many cars this year that we're going to do several shows, and so this week we're only covering a couple of the categories. There's just too much to show all at once, or the show's going to be 2 hours long.
That's right, pop some popcorn.
Pop some popcorn. So we're gonna keep it simple and just show you three or four of the categories, and a few of the displays.
Yes.
In the display area, they had some models that people have started, and they had this fun model that someone built years ago, heavily covered in magazines and so on, and it was just on display here.
Wow, look at that.
Lot of
Allison.
crazy- Twin Allisons, twin V12s blown. And a Mach 1 funny car under construction, but just some neat projects. And this demonstration on different paint finishes.
Metal flake.
Metal flake and metallizers, but you know what I fell in love with is this idea of shooting the paint onto a plastic spoon.
Wow, just don't stir your coffee with it.
Ew, no coffee. But it's a great idea because it'll tell you what it's going to look like on a curved plastic surface. This is a metallizer that they were demonstrating to show how you can get a metallic finish with an airbrushed paint finish. Or you can go for something that's not really intended to look like a great paint finish.
No way.
So they had a couple of different paint finishes on display here that are intended to look a little schlumpy.
Yes.
And this, old slot cars. In the 1960s, there was this brief time when suddenly everybody was doing slot cars. And it killed all the other hobbies, and the hobby shops all sold out and started putting in these crazy fun slot cars. But they had several of them on display, vintage 60s slot cars. So that was pretty neat to see. And motorcycles.
Oh my goodness.
One of the most competitive divisions in the contest. The people who build these motorcycles, the attention to detail. This Buick V8 drag bike. Now, I'm not sure what came from kits and what is scratch built and just exactly what parts came from where. But they had photographs here of the original bike, and it is just bolt for bolt, screw for screw, exactly correct.
Including the AC oil filter.
Everything.
Wow. Spark
Just
plugs,
spark
distributor
plug.
cap. What?
And I can't imagine getting on this thing and riding it. It's tempting to try to get on it until you realize, no, it's only about 12 scale. Be a little challenging to climb aboard, but that's an intimidating ride no matter how you slice it.
The transverse mounted engine.
Holy cow. But some other really, really neat motorcycles here. Check out this Honda.
Oh.
You and I both had Hondas, but we
did.
didn't have anything quite like this.
No.
4 cylinders.
Oh, man.
But look at just the clamps holding the carburetors on. And this Harley,
That looks... You could ride it.
it's perfect. It's perfect. You just can't tell it's a model. It's just perfect. Now, where most motorcycles are done to a somewhat larger scale, this thing was just tiny.
Yes.
It's like a little insect, only it's a tiny little motorcycle. Now, our next category is Box Plus. Now, what that basically means is buying a model at the hobby shop or wherever and building it verbatim.
Okay.
Adding almost no detail. Under the Box Plus rules, there's a few little things you can add, but generally speaking, this is going to be all about cleanliness of build and primarily paint job and finishes, because it's essentially a pure kit, no added parts. Now, back in the day, there was a saying, you gotta be nuts to drive a Stutz. I think you'd have to be nuts to turn one down. I love the Stutz, particularly the Stutz Bearcat. This not being a Bearcat, but just being a race car. And I love any race car. And this era, a Stutz, sign me up for payments. I want it. It was just an absolutely huge category.
Oh, no kidding.
But lots and lots of cars. Hard to pick out the good ones because they're all great. Now our next category is customs.
Oh, wow. Look at the Woody down there.
Isn't that great? You know, it didn't start off as a Woody, and that's the essence of the custom. Chop into the body
Yes.
and turn it into something it ain't. Change the body design around, add stuff, take stuff away, redesign it, turn it from one thing to another, and the classic lowrider.
Oh, look at this. It's a caddy.
A caddy, a lowrider caddy. You know, lowriders are truly the modern equivalent of the lead sled,
No kidding.
and I love them. Now this guy,
Oh, talk about jewelry.
geez, beautiful, beautiful car. And I'm just dying to know how they did the copper finish. It looks like probably a foil, like bare metal foil, which I think is available in copper. And you burnish that onto the plastic. I don't know. And there was no documentation here explaining how they went about that. So I guess we just get to guess, but it's not a paint finish.
No.
It's a true copper metallic finish on a just gorgeous car.
Oh, no kidding.
Square Bird.
Oh, wow.
Always fun to play around with the T-Bird. All the different eras of T-Bird are wonderful, but the Square Bird and what they've done with this one is really fun.
Oh, no kidding. That one's great.
Now check this out, a 50 Ols customized.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that a beautiful custom?
Wow, white wall tires to boot.
White walls, and it's towing a boat.
Don't say that fast.
Don't say that fast, no. But look at the boat. It's a custom boat.
It is.
I'm not sure where they cobbled the parts from, but is that just cool or what?
It has its own V8 and everything.
Now our next category is factory stock.
Oh, nice.
What can you do to a kit or scratch building for that matter to recreate a factory car?
Well, that one does it.
That one does it. What did it look like the day it left the factory with a few small modifications allowed, but essentially a factory original car as closely duplicated as you can by adding all kinds of detail parts, scratch building the stuff that's necessary. Check out this 53 Hudson Hornet.
I love the Hudson Hornet. Oh.
And that color scheme, I love the color scheme. Just a beautiful, beautiful car. And a lot of these details have been added. And check out the Alpha.
Look at that.
A Middle War era Alpha, 38 Alfa Romeo. Oh, one of my favorite periods for Italian and French cars, and one of my favorite cars right there, the Alfa Romeo.
Elegant.
Oh boy, Model T.
Oh, there it is.
A T Coupe. I've had the misfortune, I should say, to actually drive a real one of these. It's one of the most dangerous cars I've ever driven.
Oh my goodness.
It's so top heavy, and it's a lateral suspension, so it wants to rock back and forth. I swear you can tip this thing over and still have all four wheels on the ground. And a 69 Mach 1.
Oh, check that out.
I wish the real one were parked out in the driveway. Now the luggage rack here, of course, is not factory original, but you can add a few little things and still call it factory stock.
Well, I saw them that way.
Absolutely. It was a very popular thing to put on your Bug.
Of course.
But they do allow a few little accessories that aren't factory accessories. Well, here again, the judges were going to have their hands full trying to sort out the factory stock category.
Oh, no kidding.
Just a bunch of really, really beautiful, beautiful cars. Now, some people put out these little 3x5 cards or even video displays and whatnot to explain what they did, what they started with, and how they modified it in order to get to where they got to with the model. And that's really helpful information because you're just not sure what it took to modify a kit, or for that matter, scratch build some of these just beautiful, beautiful cars. Now, our next category is street machines.
Oh, boy.
They're essentially a hot rod, but they're a late model hot rod, like this beautiful Woody here.
Oh, complete with surfboards.
How fun.
Yes.
But these are heavily modified, essentially a hot rod, but 1950 and newer version of a hot rod is a street machine.
Yes.
Now, at one time, the scratch-built models had their own category. But now they just put the scratch-built models in with the rest of the models in the individual categories. This Volkswagen is predominantly scratch-built.
Oh, check that out.
Isn't that an amazing
What?
model? And he's got a whole little video presentation over here on how he constructed all of the individual bits and pieces to bring this together into this incredible model.
Oh, my.
Look at those turbochargers. Huh. Just absolutely amazing. Now, there are some bits and pieces here that have been lifted out of other kits and that sort of thing, but it is predominantly scratch built. And here we have one of my favorite cars, a real car, the Caterham Super 7.
Oh, my.
In this case with a Cosworth engine in it. Now, no real details on the model, how they went about building it. There is a Tamiya kit in this scale, but this is not the Tamiya kit. And I'm just not sure how they came up with this, how much is scratch built, what's been taken from kits. But this is one of the most nuts and bolts accurate models I've ever seen.
Oh, no kidding.
I mean, this is just like standing next to a real car. It's just that you
Yes.
have to shrink yourself to appreciate it.
Yes.
This is fun. Check out the debris back there in the milk crate.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
And the attention to detail just on the milk crate
Yeah.
is unbelievable. And you got a flashlight and some stuff in there. Just fun little details like that are just so great. Well, there we have a few of the categories here, and we're going to have to come back in future weeks to cover a lot more categories because there were a lot of cars
Oh, there
here
were lots.
in lots and lots of different categories. So we will be back.
Yes.
To quote Arnold Schwarzenegger. I will be back.
It's just astounding.
Oh, man, I tell you what.
Yeah, how do they do it?
The best car modelers on the planet, and they come from all over the planet to be part of this.
That's
so
right.
That's amazing. And they say there will be one more in 3 years.
That might give me a chance to get my
Yeah.
Impala put together.
And that's barring any unforeseen, it does say it's tentatively scheduled for 3 years hence. We'll be back here in 3 years.
There'll be other shows in the meantime, though.
There will be a few other shows. Yeah, we're not just going to lay off for 3
lay off
years.
for 3
No.
years. And,
We're
yeah.
going to go chase some trains and
Yeah.
some other toys and some foolishness and just
Yes.
generalized screwing around.
That's right.
But we will be back here in 3 years for the 2022
Yes.
GSL Model Car Championship. So you have that to look forward to. Well, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, do pop on over to the channel and become a subscriber.
Right.
And the way to do both is with the blue button. Are we ready for it? Blue button right there makes you a subscriber.
It does.
Well, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here again on Tuesday as we screw around with some toys in the attic.
Yes.
We'll see you then. Bye-bye.